I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority Board meeting for August 15th, 2022. The time is 7:01.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Catherine, would you mind taking the roll
call
call,
roll.
please?
Sure. Johnston. Yes. Schultz.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Ross.
Here.
And Colvin here.
Okay. Speaking of public comment, I see nobody here in the audience, so we can move on to the consent agenda. I do have one item I'd like to change on here. Board members, I put a copy of a letter from Melissa Pinellas regarding helping her with an event, the Real Men of Oxford, on September 7th. So we can put that down. Let's see, where do we suggest we put this under?
New business?
New business, so that would be under H9I. Okay. So 9I. Okay, so now we are the approval of the proposed agenda with the addition of 9I.
If there are no other additions, I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Second, so if we can take a roll call, please, Catherine?
Sure. Johnston.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
And Colvin, yes.
Approval of the 2022 meeting minutes
July 18th.
from, I'm sorry, July of 2022.
I'll make a motion to receive and file consent agenda items number 5B, C, and D.
And I'll second that. Let's do a, can we do a voice vote? Well, it's got financial issues, so let's do a roll call on that.
You can do voice.
You can go on.
You can do voice? Let's do a voice. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, moving on to items C and D, the police report, code enforcement report. Can we do that together?
No, we just did.
She just
We
did
just did.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
you're on financials.
Wide awake, Rod. Okay, financial statements and revenue expenditure reports.
Make a motion to approve the financial statements and revenue expenditure reports and the bills, paying them an amount of $13,867.40.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Schultz.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
And Colvin, yes.
Okay, on to DDA reports. One quick comment before the executive director reports. One of the things we've been trying to do in our committee meetings is to have written agendas, and if we could please have a list of who's in attendance and who's absent going forward. I notice on a couple of them we don't have that, but just a reminder. And Kelly, if you can remind people to do that, especially as we go forward, as when we get around to getting our bylaws amended. Okay? Go ahead.
Okay, so another awesome month. Yay, team. I put on there first just a shout out to Ashley Ross because she spent probably I think her whole life that week helping me apply for the Great American Main Street Award, and we submitted our application and everything is in. A video went with it, 16 collage photos of everything that we've been doing over the past 2 years specifically, but longer than that with the road construction project. Letters of support from everyone from NODA to Oakland County to the village, and it was quite a process, and you can definitely touch on it if you want to about everything that you did.
It was a lot, which I've applied for a lot of grants and different programs. A lot, and it probably took between both of us
Probably 60 hours.
That's what I was gonna say, 60 hours. So
Wow.
fingers crossed, but
Yeah.
August 26th is coming up sooner than I thought.
So they already gave us 3 dates that we had to block off on our calendars in case we get the call that we've made the top 8 out of everyone nationally. Because they literally will call us on the 26th, letting us know if we made the top 8, and then the next 3 days are interviews with their board. So I would love
I
nothing
do
more
wanna
than to even make the top 8 this year. I think that would be awesome.
I would love to say thank you to everyone who wrote a letter of support, but also for Oakland County. Their team gave us so much wonderful feedback, and it was a nice back and forth since we were ahead of the schedule, that they were able to look at what we were writing and make suggestions. And they also had some historical knowledge that Kelly and I were not necessarily aware of, so it was very helpful to make it robust and accurate. And it goes back, it's not just for what do we do this year, this is, overall, how are we doing?
Yeah. And they made a great recommendation at the last minute. They wanted to get their letter of recommendation that any Oakland County program that applies has to have the Main Street program write a letter in support. And they felt so good about the application that, Ashley put together and that I helped with, that they had Coulter sign the letter as well before it went in. So I think that we have a good shot.
I don't think we could have ever done any better.
Yes.
We tried.
Agreed. So we had some great concerts in the park. We have just been blowing the open air markets out of the water. I mean, people are selling out of things that they're coming with. We have people showing up at 4 o'clock ready to go through the markets. People asking now to let them stay open till 8 because people are loving being downtown. One of the businesses reached out to me and said they're consistently up by 20% now on Thursdays in the hours that we're hosting the markets. And we have other business owners that have actually said that they're now going to keep their doors open longer hours on Thursday nights because they've been having so many people come by and ask.
Ashley?
Oh, are we staying open later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would like, Kimberly sent out an email to ask the vendors if they would like to stay open till 8 o'clock this week because people just are coming later and they want to stay open. We're monitoring kind of the chatter on Facebook, and people are just saying, we really want to be there, but we can't make it until that 7 o'clock. We don't have time to go through the market. And also with all the vendors, it's taking people 45 minutes to an hour to get through the whole market. So we want to, stay open later and expand those hours. And we feel like staying open an hour later, it coincides with concerts anyway, so it's a good option.
You have music there again?
We do, but the music actually has to cut off at 6. So then Rudy Vican, who is a Oxford resident, actually plays live for us. And he's been awesome. He's been showing up every week to do that. So it's been great.
If you haven't been there, it's been pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
We hosted the MDA event with Lake Orion. It poured down crazy amounts of rain, but Sullivan's was awesome. They threw us upstairs in the room so that we didn't have to be in Washington Square. We were able to raise between Sullivan's giving back from sales, Sick Pizza, Fork and Pint down in Lake Orion, and then just the MDA event, $1,000 for Holly to help with the fire support for them. And then everybody brought gift baskets from their town. So all of our businesses chipped in something. We went around and collected everything and put a beautiful basket together that they were able to raffle off in Holly and raise more funds. So great time and great people that came out for that. We had people from South Lyon come, from Royal Oak, just all over. And it was nice to meet some new people. Met the DDA director from Romeo and made some nice connections. The trolley is down, but we were lucky enough that my neighbor is a certified mechanic at Alcera, and he is there fixing it currently tonight. I took him there on Friday night to look at the alternator, and we were able to open up the trolley. He was able to get the parts, and he is starting to fix it tonight. So hopefully by this weekend, Marie, it'll be fixed and up and running. Rod also started the conversation with Smart to purchase it outright, so that we can just have a little bit more control over when we get it fixed, where we get it fixed, and parts and things like that. Let's see, we opened Washington Square. That seems forever ago now since we've hosted so many events there, but that was wonderful, a great event. We welcomed a new business to town this month and walked them through, all of their signage apps and helped them kind of put pieces in place, introduce them to members in the community, so that's been great. We helped a business transition to new ownership and helped them to just get ingrained. I had a meeting with her. She took over Oxford School of Music. So the Red Piano Studio is coming in, and they're very family focused and already opened up their classes. They're going to be part of Scarecrow Fest. So we were able to help with that transition. Our huddle had about 15 members this month, and Rod was there too, and Marie, and everything from Sick Pizza Car Night, which was so successful. If you didn't see our live on Facebook, the pictures were phenomenal, and to what was coming up this fall. So all in all, just a great month.
One thing here on the Oxford School of Music.
Yeah.
He was able to help in the past. Will they be able to take over some of the things that he was doing?
Yeah, so he said that we'll talk about next year from like a concerts in the park perspective. He does have other people that he trained this year to help, but he's finishing out this next week. He's already helping with Scarecrow Fest. Matthew sits on our promo committee, so he's not going anywhere. And then McKenna, who's the new owner, said that she's happy to pitch in however we need.
And one other comment too on the cuddle or huddle or whatever you want to call it. It's pretty impressive that Kelly puts that together. It's a nice thing to do for business owners, communicate, and it's what, 25 minutes or something like that. So it's,
never more than 30.
yeah, it's perfect for somebody that's busy like a lot of business owners are. So good job. Okay, board committee, Mr. Schultz.
Yes, we met the other day. Kelly was there, myself was there, Rod was there, Dorothy was there, and we had a new member, Brad Jacobson, was there. A lot of the meeting was updating on current projects that we've got going on, which was the sidewalk leveling in the backs of the southeast quadrant and what's going on with the northeast quadrant. And we also talked extensively about the northeast quadrant as far as redoing it. We got bids on it, and that'll be covered under old business farther down. And we discussed again about the TIF plan. All the work that we did in prior years is basically lost. We can't find anything, so it's all a matter of starting over from scratch to redo everything. And we had spent almost a whole, probably close to a year of going through everything during COVID, and there's nothing there, so it has to start over. So again, as of January, that's the intent, is to start doing that, because it has to be renewed by 2024, I believe was the date on that. And just asking an update as far as like the Consumers Grant and the not the Version Grant, but the Verizon Grant, as far as what the status was and what's going on with that. So.
Okay, next we have the Economic Vitality Committee report. Ashley Lewis.
So I did find my map that I printed out big with the notes on, so that's good. We met, so Economic Vitality is trying to meet at different spaces all through the district from here on out, just to see what's available, meet with new people as much as possible. What do we talk about? So we are coming up with goals going forward. We've kind of found a nice little spot in terms of making connections, writing grants, doing that type of work. But what do we want to see going forward with Economic Vitality? Because the goals set out by Main Street America are a little bit nebulous and hard to accomplish with a volunteer board. Especially ones that might not be versed in real estate or know how to do some of this. So we felt pretty comfortable where we're at. So Kelly is going to work out with Oakland County and just looking at our map and what we may or may not do. I don't know if you've had an update. I know you were really busy last week, so I wasn't expecting it. But our map for our DDA districts from 1986. We have prettier, newer versions of the map, but the actual district hasn't been updated in 30 plus years. And so it was just something we were going to reach out to Oakland County to say, is this a can of worms that we even want to go down or not? And if it is, what does that look like? Because there are some key businesses, you know, and not even just some key businesses. There are plenty of examples of what's included and what's not included. And if you look at Oxford, we look very different than we did in 1986. So we are first going to have the conversation with Oakland County, because if that's a can of worms we don't want to open, we won't. But we are looking at that. And then setting goals going forward. So really what we are going to strive to do as a committee is we had two main goals. And the first is to try to create cohesiveness of the entire district. So that can be done through grant making, but it can also be visual, physical, auditory, obvious, ways that our entire district is really tied together. So we feel like we've done a really good job downtown fronts, and now we're working on backs with Facade Grants and, you know, other grants as well. But that's not just our district. We have lots of different areas. So we're going to kind of look at everything and see what we can tackle and get the whole entire district, you know, up and running to the best of our ability. And doing that, kind of what I said before, is by fostering and developing relationships with business owners, property owners, just really trying to be out there as much as possible. So that is our update for now. Oh, and we want to buy a trolley. That's included. By the way.
Just throw that in there. Yes. When you say buy, she means get a grant.
Well, I'll interject this. The process, and I did call, leave a message again today. They're looking into the process, and there's obviously regulations to look at. A lot of it depends. They would have to get the current one assessed as to the value, and depending on the value, they could just out and out sell it to us. But if it's a certain value, then we have to go through some entire rigmarole. So that's one thing. And then as far as long term, I still think that we may look into a grant process for a new trolley that doesn't break down every time they make a run. But you know, but right now, Pete.
Backing up one little thing you mentioned in there about redoing the district or adding areas or so on and so forth, or joining whatever, would that also entitles the TIF plan part of it too?
It's a big project. Yeah.
And if that's the process, then also that opens it up to the entire area being individuals that are actually contributing towards it, of voting whether they want to still belong or pay
Potentially. And that's
tax.
why,
And,
yes.
and I think that
That's why it was one of those
from
things.
my
that-
representation, I'm going to say that's heartburn. So be careful, because if you're increasing the side, then you're collecting more, which hurts
Well,
us on
and
the
that's
other side
not,
of the
that was
board,
one
so.
conversation we had. It wasn't necessarily expanding, it was expanding and contracting, where, you know, even some of our rules say, you know, we want a resident. Well, our residential is very limited in our DDA district. So we're trying to think smarter, but knowing that once you start to talk about taxes and get into that, it becomes very complex, which is why before we do anything, we're reaching out to Oakland County
Okay.
and see if they have any process, or if anyone's done this before, or if they just say leave well enough alone, and this is where we're at.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Promotion committee report. We don't have a chairperson, so Kelly, would you take over that part, please?
So concerts, we already kind of gave you the update. Our last one is this week. Rudy, who got rained out, the 6 foot apart band, that one, we moved him to Scarecrow Fest. So we're just gonna take that money and just slide it, and they're gonna perform there, which is great, because we needed music anyways. We would have moved to the week after, but the park is already booked, so we can't do that. Farmers Market, we chatted about. Cruise night event, we talked about. Scarecrow Fest, great news. Put out there this morning 10 sponsorships on the business owner page, and man, this community can come together. They're all gone. We sold out every sponsorship today,
That's awesome.
which is just amazing. Then we had 3 more that asked to do sponsorship, so I'm going to create something for them so they could be a part of it, because we sold out everything. So it's pretty awesome. Witches Night, we're going to chat about this in just a little bit. The SEMCOG video, that was something that Rod came to us with, and we met with their group. They're going to come into town and do a video on Oxford and Lake Orion, utilizing the trolley in between. We're not going to focus on just one business. We're going to focus on Oxford more as a whole, eat here, dine, shop, eat, you know, all those things. And we are going to go in and out of businesses, but I thought it would only be fair to not necessarily mention any business, but just kind of Oxford as a whole. I didn't want to, you know, exclude anybody or place favoritism. So they are coming in next week, and we're going to film that video. So if you see them around town, that's why. We're also doing it. I think we're doing that one during the farmers market so that we can get that as well. So there's a lot of people out on the streets and it doesn't look dead. But it's free of charge, so it was great that we can take advantage of that. And it's going to be a 2-minute video between the two towns, so it'll be great for social media for us to just grab clips. I even thought, you know, as we go and start to apply for more and more grants, this will be a great thing to have in our back pocket that we can use.
Quick comment here on the promo committee, Kelly. The attendees, is that the entire list of people on the promotion committee?
So is anybody missing? Angie Groom was the only one missing from that meeting.
Okay, design committee.
Design committee. I can talk about design committee. We talked about several grants. I think we'll go through in more detail in new business, so you get the details. But Victoria's applied for a pretty large new awning, a new sign, and actually facade. But she's doing a lot of really great work with her space, so I like it. A couple new businesses, Oakland Corners Realty and Nash Flanders Law, both have some sign grants they requested. And unfortunately, Kelly, my audio wasn't working at the beginning of the call, so I don't know the Journey Lutheran story.
Yeah,
so.
that's okay. We're gonna chat about that later, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could chat about. Yeah, I couldn't hear. Anyway, then we talked about some fall decor, doing the mums and the other decorations downtown. Asking the businesses, giving them deadlines to decorate for certain things because the businesses seem to like the deadlines, they like the direction. So we talked about that. Then we talked about, what was the last thing we talked about?
I think it was the fall decor.
It was the fall decor. Okay, well then that's what we did.
And then, I'm sorry, Catherine.
I'm done, so go ahead.
There was a question earlier, Ms. Medor, with the address on the Nash Flanders site. Could you, where the camera person can pick you up? We want to hold you
Julie's here,
accountable.
so she'll be able to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry about my late attendance. Totally slipped my mind.
You're actually perfect timing.
Late fee.
Yeah, and one of the papers I've seen in the packet, it was listing it as 4 west. But if you look on Oakland County Property Gateway, it shows it as 1 south. And so I just want to make sure we clarify that. I'll have to look and see in our records. I didn't look in our water billing and stuff. I know obviously you got the information from the building owners. They're calling it 4 west. It looks like.
Correct, so.
Yeah, and the Property Gateway, the county's aerial, it shows it as 1 south.
So when I was reviewing like the lease agreement, they identified actually 3 addresses, but they're saying that the whole building is 4 west. And I think that maybe that's because there was previously a salon there, and maybe there were subtenants because it was really broken up inside. So maybe each one kind of had a 1 south or something like that. Or maybe it's from, I know it's the building back to the 1800s, but they're telling me it's 4 west Vernon.
Well, look, it didn't matter as long as when we do the application for the signage, just get it squared away in the applications. And
Well, just I just want to know,
Yeah.
and then just in case Patterson would then come and make, ask for a sign request in the
Yeah.
next,
Yeah,
3
we wanna-
years. We just want to make
Yeah.
sure that they can get theirs
Yep.
so that they're separated.
All right, so we're on the
things-
record, that's why you're at the microphone.
Yes.
We're on the record now, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
So are you wanting, I just need to know obviously for my sign, I just want to put the right address and number on advertising, things like that. So I don't care what the number is, so
Yeah.
just
I'd
as
be
long as.
interested to
He
see
might have some
if
insight into
you,
it,
Okay.
maybe. I'll look at it tomorrow. Okay. Fire department is one gives out addresses.
Good to know.
Georgia?
And I always thought that the side that Johnson Photography was on was the even numbers, and the other side where Funky Monkey was always the odd.
It is.
numbers. Yeah.
Like Patterson's, I think it's 3, and then. No.
so when when you put it in to Google Maps, it does come up 1 South Washington.
And then Pat, Boutique to go to where it is now is 3 South. Yeah, so they're all odd coming out
Okay.
the south side there.
So we clear now as far as, just some of the tax
Clear
bills.
as mud. Clear as mud.
Address is 4.
I got it.
Okay, so,
No, go ahead,
sorry,
Kelly.
one more.
Yeah.
If you Google Laura Lee's, that actually used to be there, it comes up for West Vernon,
Okay, that makes sense.
which is,
Yeah.
that's the space that you were in, or are in now.
Right above my main door, which is from the back, like where Patterson's is, there's a 4W that's
Okay.
been there really for quite some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't be the first time our records in the counties don't jive up.
Sure, it makes no difference to me, I don't want to be told, oh, you have the wrong address now, and change everything.
Okay, unfinished old business, parking lot, northeast quadrant.
You wanna come in?
You're all warmed up and ready, Marty.
I mean, we chatted about it, but Joe just looks like he's itching to talk to you.
No, I'm just say yes. No. And I was talking to Pete briefly before the meeting. Our engineering company, Rowe, they have a couple of different estimates here. One is the original plan, which is to mill 2 inches off the parking lot, which we presume is 5-inch thick asphalt currently. So if we took 2 inches off, then they put 2 inches back on, that would be your top nice surface. There's a lot of concern though about some areas of being degraded further where they may have to go to full depth. So they may have to take off the top and then dig down a 20 by 40 area to take the bottom out and to fix the subgrade to some degree. And once I got this back from Rowe, I mean, if you look at the fine details there, he's talking like perhaps up to 60% of the parking lot might have to be removed to full depth. So it's kind of silly to go around and take everything off and then go to 60% of the parking lot and go down to the lower level when you could just remove the whole surface. So by removing the whole surface, that would, you'll know your full depth is all new, not just the top. So that's the options. Now, what we don't know yet is what the thickness of the asphalt is in various locations. We haven't had the core samples done yet. We're still working out some details with the company to do the core samples, exactly what we want from them, based on some of this preliminary stuff. All right, if the core samples come back good, then we'll know, okay, it's thick enough where you could perhaps do some of the mill and then resurface on top. But depending on what it says, if it's only 4 inches down there, which it could be, and you're taking 60% of the lots going full depth and you're leaving 40 off, it just might be better to spend a little bit more and just remove the whole lot to the gravel, regrade it, and put a whole new two-coat surface on. So that's what there's the differences are in the pricing. And it's less than 10 grand difference. So much higher than we'd originally thought, but again, this is an engineer's estimate of the engineer's estimate of mobilization, things like that. They're putting into what they see in normal contracts. Doesn't mean that's what the bids will come in at. It could be lower.
To that point, Kelly, could you address how we discussed, or what we discussed at the meeting about the budget and then the fiscal year and how we could cover the cost? Just to
Yeah,
bring that up
sure.
right now.
So originally, we had budgeted out $200,000 for this project to make it happen this year. Obviously, this is coming above and beyond, so we want to wait. But Pete made a great point at our org committee that we could always start early spring of next year, and then when that budget restarts in July, that could be the next piece of the financials that we need. So it's not necessarily that it's pushing our project too far back, because I do think it's a 2023 spring project, but we're kind of just breaking it up into 2 fiscal years. Which we will have plenty after looking at the savings from this year to cover the project in full, no problem.
Yeah, and I think if you started at June, it's not a month-long project, or if you straddle over into July, then you can say, all right, well, this part, first 200 grand, we've already paid for it now. New Year starts July 1. We have another money allocated. We could pay the rest of the bills with that. Even if it comes back where you have to start in June and end in June, it's all in one fiscal year, this current year. You could still amend your budget and borrow from your fund balance and move it. Whether you spend the money in June or July doesn't change the fact of how much you spent. It just makes sure you have to have your numbers add up right for your budget, so you end not in a negative.
And we have it regardless that we can pull from, no matter if it hits in June or July.
Because sometimes when you put them out for bid, let's say it goes out bid in January or February, and the contractors bid on them, you always got to coordinate with them too. They might be bidding a 3-month project for MDOT or something that they got to be on there by June 15th. They want to take this thing and knock it out first week of June. It's first 2 weeks in June, let's say.
It's nice because this also gives us the time for the village to have more skin in the game and save a little more to help with the project.
Couple dollars extra.
Any comments from
Nice.
board
Now
members?
get more marijuana businesses in.
Pete? Pete?
Per what we've already approved and the village council approved is for the engineering part of it.
Correct, 24,012 from us.
Okay, and that gets all the pre-engineering and the core testing and so on and so forth. I can't remember exactly what that all entailed, but we make sure that when it comes time for it, then does Roe prepare the documents then to go out to bid?
Yes.
Get the bids in, go through the bids to make sure that they are all compliant, that we're all, apples to apples, and make sure that they're meeting what our specifications are, correct?
Yes, that included even something like 5 days of on-site inspection.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure, and we don't need to or do anything on that, but we do need to act on this. Or do you want to wait till after?
They're not gonna design and engineer until we know exactly, so what I would say first would be to,
Wait till we
get a
get-
core sampling done in the next couple of weeks, month or so, hopefully. And then we say, all right, based on that, we would strongly encourage you to do the full removal versus the 60%. Again, it's $9,000 difference versus hopscotching around and doing full depth here and there, didn't move at all. That might be more solid of a recommendation once we get the core samples.
So that could be by our September or October meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, October perhaps.
October then, okay.
And then they would design it, November, December, get out bid, January, February.
Okay, 8B, Kelly? I know you've covered most of that.
Yeah, I feel like we're okay. I
Any
updated
other
you
questions
all
about
on
the
the
trolley?
trolley.
Marie?
No.
Keep you posted this week.
Okay. 8C, add additional event from promo committee.
So after, I know, Ashley's left up here already. After our last meeting, I just had to really think about, we talked about expanding Scarecrow Fest, and you guys were okay with that, which would have added in, the parade and some other events, but not necessarily with Witches Night. And I had to go back to the drawing board on this because I feel like our responsibility as the DDA is to bring in business to our downtown, to our stores, to our restaurants, and a parade doesn't necessarily do that, but Witches Night does. So I would like to, I chatted with Marie and Rod on Witches Night, and you have a sheet in there where I broke down what the DDA's responsibilities would be, the promo committee versus the business owner, Lake Orion DDA, because they would like to do the Warlocks portion of this, and then the coordinator. I wanted to show that this event will not take a lot of my time nor finances from the DDA, but I do think that it's important. After talking with a few of the business owners this last week, just as I was wrapping my head around it, for some of them, this is their largest retail night of the year. So out of ladies' night and small business Saturday and everything, Witches Night outperforms. So I do feel like it's important for us to support it. Rod had made a good point that we could almost use this as kind of a training program this year to then pass off the baton for next year. But I would like for this event to be run by the DDA under the DDA umbrella, making a promise that I will stay in my lane and I will only do, the bare minimum and have the business owners involved.
Just one quick comment. Kelly, when you say you talk to business owners, we have 100 businesses in the district. That, not to sound like an attorney, Catherine, but it seems to me I would like to see more than just 1 or 2 business owners being quoted as sources of information.
Yeah, so it was kind of twofold. So it was after I had written down the information after following up with businesses last year after Witches Night. But then I reached out to a couple that I knew would be honest with me, who keep good records and know the numbers, that I reached out to that I trust to tell me
Well, my point would be more like what Ashley brought up with the trolley, how we try to get some data that would be more scientific than a couple
absolutely
people that give us input.
Do that after this
Ashley?
event.
So I am actually very thrilled to see this document in the packet. I was laughing because I saw this in the packet and was like, oh, we're going to have discussion. But I personally, and I know maybe not everyone will agree with me on this, I have no problem with us doing, I don't want to say more events, but targeted. When you, like, this is the type of stuff that I think I've been asking for and I don't think I've been very clear about, is who's doing what, who's responsible for what, and then it's streamlined and we have it from here on out. Whether it's, you know, teaching the business owner's capacity, the business owners are going to ebb and flow over time regardless, but the metrics, like what Rod said, like if this is a valuable thing, who's doing what, then I have no problem taking this under the DDA umbrella. I just need to see it in paper, you know, kind of hard copy. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're committed to. Here's what Lake Orion's going to do. And then let's get some data year after year and have like these hard files, because this is important and valuable where, you know,
Agreed.
before it was kind of nebulous.
Yep.
So I'll repeat, and the other thing too is that's one reason we hired Kimberly Smith, is to take over these events so that rather than Kelly doing more events, Kelly would do less events. So Kimberly really should head this up.
Yes, and I broke down my role versus hers on here just to show you. You know, Kimberly's running it by me because it is her first year, and I think next year I won't even have to touch it at all. You know, it's just more of that thing where I want to keep us on track so that it's done well. I just don't want something to be unsuccessful or run poorly, but Kimberly's a rock star. I mean, I have no doubt that she'll take off next year and I won't even hear from her on it.
Well, this would be, as I said earlier, would be more of a training opportunity for somebody else, and not necessarily Kimberly, but for the business owners to do it. I mean, I can see saying, let's try it out and make sure that we tried it for 1 year, but I don't necessarily want it to be a permanent venture every year. We'll see how it goes. I think that we could see, does it work this way or not? Other than it becomes like a tattoo or something that can't be removed. Ash, you look like you have comments on your lips.
I do, always. So I actually slightly disagree. I could see it becoming a permanent fixture. It's been an annual event for however many years now, and I think the struggle previously was because it wasn't technically ours, and to ask business owners to come together in a district that they are already paying towards to do a business-led event. I mean, who's going to be responsible for printing the maps and doing the social media? It makes sense that we do that. And so that would be, I would feel more comfortable saying, this is a DDA event. We have the control. Here's your responsibilities, but here's what we're going to provide you.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we agree, but my point would be is, let's make sure that this works out the way
Yes.
we're saying it,
Yes.
as opposed to, well, this is what we said, and then something totally different happens. That's
Yes.
my point right there, you know.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, as the self-proclaimed Miss Roles and Responsibilities, I was happy to see that we had something in writing, because otherwise there's just mass confusion over who's doing what. And I agree that I don't think the business owners would be able to take this on by themselves, run the whole event without any involvement from the DDA, kind of overseeing and managing the whole process. That's my opinion on it. I think it's, you know, business owners are you know, focused on their individual business. They're not necessarily going to have the time or energy to do the other things that you have to do to pull off an event. That's my opinion.
So are we looking at a proposal to do this as identified here with a roles and responsibilities clearly listed here? And with the idea being that we see if it works this year?
Yes.
But if it doesn't work, and if Kelly ends up running the event, that's a different story. Make sense?
I'm going to enjoy it this year. I've got my witch's hat ready. Going out.
Well, you understand. I mean, there's one thing to say it, another thing to do it.
I do.
I know we've talked about it incessantly.
That's my own, you know, it's hard for me to hand the baton, but I will.
So do we want to have a resolution to have this as a, how would we word that, as a training like training wheels or something like a training
Maybe
wheel
we just
event?
say for this
Come on,
year.
Ashley, work
I'll
with
make
us.
a motion for the
I would
DDA to take on Witches Night for 2022 as a pilot program
Thank
and
you.
to reevaluate after the program for moving forward.
I'll second.
Second by Dorothy. Okay, Catherine, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Powers,
Yes?
Ross,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
me, yes.
Are you supposed to jump up now and cast some spells or something? I
I got my witch's brew going.
have to warn you, I have a cousin who's a real witch.
Yikes.
Okay, where are we on our list now? So, new business. Business. Facade grant application for Victoria's Restaurante.
All right, we have a few of these, so we're gonna try to roll through them. Victoria's is looking at quite a bit of work. So as you know, Victoria's is expanding into that extra 500 square feet that Dora used to own. The arched window has gone in. We did give the grant on that, but that was separate building. So now what they're going to do is take Victoria's current door and they're gonna make all of that windows and build up with the original bricks, kind of that knee-high wall across there to make it all look like one, and there was never a door there. Then the door is actually gonna be where the arch is currently. So she would like to do an awning that spans across the entire thing to tie the two spaces together. And so she has a couple of different quotes in here. You're gonna see some brickwork, you're gonna see some glass work. And I asked her to keep the signage off this one. I did put this in here so that you could see kind of what it looked like. This is gonna be more of a little bit lit. This is not like an ugly yellow, it's more gold. But I asked her to come back with the signage quotes because her second quote just didn't match up and I wasn't comfortable presenting it. So what we did is we're just here for facade, and it was the recommendation of the committee to do the 56, it would be 5,615 for a facade grant, which would be 50%, and then the $1,500 for the awning. So that was the recommendation of the committee, and I totally agree. I mean, she's putting a lot of work into it, not only outside, but the amount of work that she's paying for inside, and Les Thomas as well, is quite a bit. Oh, and part of it too, and you're not gonna see this on here, but this right here, which is the top, she's gonna bring this back, kind of this historic molding up here at the top and expand that. So this will be absolutely beautiful, because right now it just sits right on this just flat piece across the top. So this is all like very historic looking. So I think it's gonna be beautiful. She has great taste. So if we could approve that, that would be wonderful.
Motion? Any discussion about, go ahead,
I do have a
Ashley.
question. I know we're not talking the signage, but because it's such a focal point, like, does the signage comply with all of our rules?
Yes, so the signage is actually the length that's up there now. The blue is going to be tied in throughout, like the outside of the building with kind of a, it's not like a in-your-face blue. She calls it more of a European blue, which has like kind of a navy undertone to it. And then the signage is that cursive, but it's in black, and then it's just backlit on the side to make it kind of like look gold. So she will have to go to Planning Commission first to get the signage approved, but that's why I told her, like, let's just wait for the signage and get this part approved first.
Mr. Medori, you want to come up here and make your comments, please, public?
Do we want that? Do we?
So backlit signage as always goes to the planning commission for approval, right? And they have, but if it's an awning, backlit awnings are not allowed. So I'm not exactly
That's
sure.
not backlit
Okay,
on
good. So I just want to make sure, because I only briefly looked at it earlier, but when you said it was kind of backlit, but I thought that was on the awning, so
The
good.
signage,
So, okay.
no.
So
She
we'll
does
we'll
the
always work with
written-
them, and Kim will work with them, and we'll work with them to
Yes.
make sure whatever has to be amended or
And make
moved
sure
or
they talk to
adjusted.
Kim and Joe first, every time.
So, but yeah, we'll work with that. And one of the issues that I have with the planning commission, I brought it up with Mario from McKinnon, our planning commission chair, a few months back, is I think they overreacted when they, in 2016, when they redid some of the zoning ordinance, made it a little rough. If you have a front entrance and a rear entrance, and you have an awning on both entrances, you're only allowed signage on one awning. And I think that was a little overreaction from my previous one in town that had a window and a signage on every awning and every window of the building. And I think that's like, well, we don't want that. Let's make it one. So, for instance, at Brett Knapp's, when he was redoing his, he's only allowed signage on one awning. So that's one of those things we're looking at. Perhaps it's the planning commission to say, you know, many of the businesses, at least in the downtown area, have front and rear entrances. And if they have an awning on both, it seems to make sense. You could have your name on both. So something we're still working on, but it's not allowed currently. So I don't know what her back awning is or what she has. I can't recall if it's an awning.
I don't think she has an awning.
It's one next door. There's Rod, yours is an
Rod has
awning.
an awning, but
Right. Okay.
yeah.
So that's the one thing we have to just work at, and as those things kind of come up, if they cause little wrinkles for the businesses, we have to go back to the planning commission and maybe have them reconsider some of those minor things.
Ashley?
I am just happy. This is one of the first applications that I've seen. Others have come close, but that really put in the effort to go towards that historic nature, and that's exactly like part of our mission, and that makes me very happy. So, yay to Victoria.
I know she worked really hard on it. We've been talking about it for almost a year now, so.
I think we agree. Thank you. Okay. Resolution.
Make a motion on
Someone will make a motion to,
I can make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve a facade grant for Victoria's in the amount of $56.15 for a front facade and $1,500 for an awning.
Second.
so we have a motion and it's been seconded. Further discussion? Catherine, want to do roll call, please?
Sure. Charles?
Yes?
Powers?
Yes.
Ross? Yes. Johnston?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Kelvin, yes.
Okay. We're good.
This next one, I would love to introduce you to Julie since she's here. Is that okay? Do you
Yes, I
want to
think
meet
it's-
a new business owner in town?
She should
Julie
probably
and I
step
know
up to
each
the
other
podium.
from like
Taking notes,
previous
Bryce?
life.
Are you taking notes?
I first met Julie in college. Back in
Yes.
the day.
Yes. Kelly and I, we went on vacation together.
Yes, we did.
We did.
Way too much fun.
We did. We had a lot of fun.
So go ahead, just tell them who you are
So-
and your new business in town.
Yep. So my name is Julie Nash Flanders, and I'm going to have a law office right on the corner of Burdick and Washington, kind of behind Patterson Pharmacy. And I have an office in Dryden, Michigan right now. So I'm just going to kind of bifurcate my time between both offices. I live here in Oxford. My children attend Oxford Community Schools. My husband's on the fire department. It's a volunteer. And I'm looking to do signage on Washington and Burdick, and then an awning.
Perfect.
The awning that's going to go, it's kind of going to be between the two windows in the back. Laura Lee's had that teal awning. Mine's actually going to be more offset to the side between the windows, and then I'm going to do the awning over the actual door, and then the sign will have like a backlit illumination right there on, I guess, the Washington side, but it's below, the Burdick address. And then we'll do a smaller sign that's not illuminated on the side of Burdick.
So we'll need to go before the planning commission for the pre-lit, so I'd like this to be approved, thinking that they would give us approval at the end of this month at their meeting.
Correct. Both of my quotes, neither sign company, I don't think that they had really followed through and knew about the planning commission needing to be required, even though they've done signs here.
Yes.
So they said that was something that they would work on,
They
depending which
knew
one we went
that I would catch it.
with. Yeah, correct.
So we're looking at the $1,500 for her signage, and then between the broken window fix for facade and the awning, 50% of that, which would be $636.
You feel comfortable with the address, right, Mr. Madore?
What was,
Whatever the address is, it is. It'll be worked out.
Well,
Don't worry about an attorney who doesn't know the address, though.
Yeah, right, oh my gosh.
so the actual, the address isn't going to be on my sign. So I just need to know, probably for my own advertising purposes, going into the future. But I'll take whatever address you guys want to slap on it.
what was the total again, Kelly?
So I'd like to do them separate motions if possible. So the first one being the sign grant for $1,500, and then for 9C, $636.
So, Pete,
Make a motion to award a $1,500 facade grant.
I'll second that. Discussion?
I'm sorry, it's hard to tell in the photos. Is the building being painted at all, or?
No, I don't think so. Right?
No, there's just, I mean, where the Laura Lee sign
There's
was
some
removed.
mismatch, so I was just.
Correct. So I'm just going to do that on my own to get that just, it's just a very small area that is not going to be covered with, the new awning will just cover probably half of it, and then there's probably a smaller portion of half of it that, and we've got the color match from the other owner, or the owner of the building, so it should all blend in very nicely.
I was gonna say, it's only been like
They just
2
did it.
years.
Thankfully.
It's the second time they did it, yeah.
Yeah, thankfully, because I said, hey, do you happen to know what color that is? And they were able to, they had a leftover can, and I just was able to match it, so it should
Further
go up.
discussion? Catherine, roll call, please.
Johnston,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
and Colvin, yes.
Okay, the second.
Make a motion to approve $636 for the awning grant.
Second,
Discussion? Okay, Catherine, roll call, please.
Johnston,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
and Colvin, yes.
Thank you. I mean that very seriously. I don't.
Okay, next we are, let's see. You want to introduce the next one then, Kelly?
Sure, yeah. So this is our first person to apply for the back facade program that we implemented in this new budget year. And it's kind of a unique opportunity. So Matt from Journey actually tried to get the Facade Grant for this, and they did not approve it. They actually, Red Maps got the Facade Grant from Oxford this cycle here. But this is a Eagle Scout who is doing this project for Journey. So this is to earn like his Eagle Scout badge. And what he wants to do, his vision is to build like this nice outdoor space right behind Journey with this beautiful gazebo. So the project is a little over $6,000, but through the back facade program, they can apply for $1,000. So that's what Matt is applying for. One, to help create an outdoor space, and then two, to help this Eagle Scout earn his badge, which I think is pretty cool.
Is there a picture of that in here?
So there's a picture of this space that I asked him to send me today because I was worried you'd ask me. No,
Okay.
that's a picture of a broken window.
I was wondering what that was.
I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. Okay.
So the student did not do any kind of drawing or anything, but I had Matt send me a photo of just the outdoor space, so I can pull that up. He said it's an Eagle Scout project to convert a small portion of the green space into an area with a patio and covered gazebo. It's right on the edge of our lot that would provide a space for folks to gather outside, and it's on the southeast corner of the DDA district. And if my phone would let me pull it up, I would show you. But it's a field. If you know where Journey is,
Are we
it's the
comfortable
field.
not seeing what it looks like? I mean, you can send that to us later on. We don't need to spend time on it
Okay.
now. Everyone good with that, Pete? Everyone? Pete?
Question for Joe, have you seen or anything as far as setbacks or anything, are we gonna have an issue, or is it?
Not seeing anything. And it is a structure, so it's gonna be a building official.
Right.
With those footings and stuff, poles at least, so I think it's like 5-foot setback, so there is on the side. I'm not sure the location, but we can work with them to make sure it complies.
Yeah, they would have to, go through Kim and the building department and apply for everything just like everybody else.
Peter, are you comfortable with the process of us doing a grant first, then making sure that things are through the planning commission? I wonder if we should do it
It's
that way
hard because
around.
the planning commission doesn't meet every month. And it's difficult, I think that grants push people along. I think that it pushes them to get things done, pushes them to say, hey, your grant's approved, you need to go get this approved through the planning commission.
It could be contingent upon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Ashley, you gonna say?
That's what I was gonna say. I think it's hard to ask them to do all of that and go get approvals when they don't know if they have the funding.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Medor?
And whether the grant was applied for, approved or denied, the process for us would be the same. If she, Nash Flanders, there you go. Wants to put a sign up or line up, she's gonna come in the office, we're gonna do the permits regardless. It's really not contingent upon your grant at all, the process is the same. Same thing with the church. They can't go, if we want to put a little people all back, we're gonna go through the same process. So, whether you guys do it in front or back end, I don't, it doesn't matter to us, I think it doesn't matter a lot to the applicants, because they wanna kind of know that way they can, especially in some cases, we're paying 50%, then they can do a little more.
Okay, so do we want to, Dorothy?
I do have one other question. Being that it sounds like this is like an individual putting this together, using money from the DDA, is there a problem with that? Does it have to be licensed?
So Journey is funding the other $5,000, so I really, and they're matching our grant. So everything's going through Journey, contractors and everything. I think that it's more so he's helping with the project to get his badge, but everything Matt assured me is through Journey. And everything for paperwork wise will have Journey on it.
Okay, do we vote on this resolution?
We need a motion.
Someone will make a motion?
What's the amount?
Anything?
1,000.
I'll make a motion for $1,000 back facade program to Journey Lutheran.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? Roll call, please, Catherine.
Johnston.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
And Colvin, yes.
Like the amounts listed next to all of them.
Remind me.
So Oakland Corners, Joe, I think I'm gonna have to ask you about this one because of what you just said. I didn't realize that they could not have something on their back awning. So I'm wondering if we need to take that portion off when we approve this.
If we approve it.
So I'm looking at the smaller sign that runs perpendicular on the building in the front for Oakland Corners. Their window decals in the front, which they know the rules that it can't be over the 25%. But the one that I'm questioning is the decal that goes on their back awning.
But they don't have anything on their front awning.
Yeah, the front of them doesn't have anything on it.
So it's okay?
They choose whichever one they want.
Got it, okay, so one or the other, but it's fine. Okay, great. So they're going to go with Signorama. The other quote came in at $36.70. Signorama came in quite a bit less at $15.58. So half of that would be $779.12 that we would approve for them for their signage.
Board comments? Dorothy?
I'm just assuming that the window graphics that are included in this meet the criteria for the village as far as overall letters.
They're okay, and they're within that 25%, so we made sure.
Because both are on the front, it appears, the little sign and the sign and the window graphics, yeah?
And that's okay, they can have them on the windows, on front or back or both. It's just the overall coverage that we're worried about.
Got it.
I just had a question. Is this business going to be going after an awning grant as well?
And a painting.
Okay.
A whole facade grant,
Okay.
yes.
And of course, they wouldn't be able to have lettering on the awning then if they was, okay.
I have a question. No, sorry.
Ashley?
That has sparked more questions. Did we fund the first painting?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Thank God.
When passes that, okay.
I just want to make sure that they're going to paint it, that
So the next thing is they're taking their time. They've asked us for suggestions. They've gone and met with Nicolette, who's our design chair, who 1000% sees our vision for the downtown. And they want to bring it back to more of that historical look and not what it is right now.
Okay, have a resolution from somebody if appropriate.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Dorothy Johnston. Do we have a
Do you need me
second?
to speak them out?
Oh, sorry.
for 779.12.
Second.
Any further discussion? Catherine, roll call, please.
Johnston,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Ross. Yes. And Colvin, yes.
Fall decor, so I should have just had this in our, like, just a budget line item, and I didn't, so I apologize. So I just wanted to come back for approval. Would love to kind of do the same thing we did last year, but the band that we bought the mums from last year, they're selling hanging basket mums this year, so I thought it would be nice to keep up our hanging baskets a little bit longer into fall. And then do the mums and the pumpkins and the corn stalks and things like we did last year. So we will have a volunteer day coming up here very soon. And our target date was that third week in September to have everything out. We'll also give the businesses a target date like we did last year so that the whole town is decorated by that third week.
Ashley?
What is your threshold for purchasing on your own without coming to us?
Yeah, so it is the 2,500 mark, but just since this wasn't like a line item that I talked about in the budget, I just wanted to make sure.
Do you feel that
Right.
this would be the whole budget?
The 1,500 will be for everything.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Let's take a vote on that then.
You want a motion? I can make
A motion first.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the expenditures of $1,500 for fall decor for the downtown.
Second.
Okay, Catherine, want to do a vote, please?
Sure. Johnston,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Ross. Yes. And Colvin, yes.
Rod, I apologize. I think you wanted me to talk about 9G. and
9G, we can leave on the agenda if we want. We give some background. We're, go ahead, I'm sorry. Why don't you finish what you're going to say?
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I'll ask, we had not renewed our membership in the chamber, but then we talked about renewing it. So I thought it'd be worthwhile having some kind of discussion about that. That's
Yes.
basically it in a nutshell right there. So, Kelly, you want to start? And then if somebody wants to chip in, we'll go forward from there. Go ahead.
Sure. So the relationship's been a little bit rocky. We've all talked about that before. So I asked Amy and Sarah to sit down last week and just said, I want to work together. There's no reason why we're not. I don't want to focus on past things. I just want to move forward. And we're all on the same team. So I think it's important that, we rejoin, and I think it's important that we just move forward. And they agreed, and it was a great conversation, and we visited, and so I just wanted you guys to know, and then hope that we could just rejoin to be back a part of their group.
Dorothy?
Where did the amount come from? I don't see that.
It's on their,
It doesn't match the amount we have, unless I'm missing something.
no, it's probably just me. Okay, well, 195, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I think I was thinking? I was filling out the bill for the MDA that same day, and that was $300. So the 195,
Yeah.
thanks, good catch.
We feel like we got a deal now.
Yeah, right?
Do we get the nonprofit membership?
Ashley?
Do we get the nonprofit membership?
They didn't tell me that, I'm not sure.
So we're already getting the price down from 300 to
What do you guys
195. Let's
say?
keep going.
I don't know.
Do you do the nonprofit?
I don't remember.
Could
Yes.
we make a motion to do it up to the 195, and I'll ask about the 100?
Catherine, you had a comment, I think, earlier? Or I misheard you. Pete?
It's been back and forth over the years, and it's kind of like why we haven't paid it, because we had issues with it and everything. If we're working together, that's fine. But at the same time, even though I don't care if it's $50 that we're paying or $1,000 that we're paying, I believe it should be a two-way street. I mean, obviously, we don't have dues, so they don't belong to us, they don't help us, they don't support us, they don't have whatever. What is the DDA getting from it?
Yeah, so I did ask them that same question, and my thought was, I said, I would like for you guys to come to events, like, so when we have, say, the event, the Consumers Energy check presentation, like, have a presence there. Somebody show up, whether it's from your board or from, Amy or Sarah, just to show that we have that relationship back and forth. And I think that that's really important. So, and then also just working together, you know, I'm sure we'll want to do a float in the Christmas parade this year because we missed that last year. So, you know, just being a part of each other's, what they're doing. I think it's important.
One thing what Pete's taught us something more tangible.
It's hard,
Other than
right?
just saying, I want to
It's-
sit down and have a chit chat. I think there's,
Yeah.
you know, maybe helping with an event rather than just saying, show up for a party.
We would love that if they're open to that, which I think that after the conversation, they definitely would be.
Mr. Medora?
And yes, and as a third-party observer who's watched this for the last several years, I think what they might tangibly offer is some promotions. When they do, they help with their Facebook, they help with their, when they do ribbon cuttings, they invite everybody out. Obviously, chamber members or DD members are invited to all of those. Kind of what they do to their own members. You know, they have the giveaway bag. You can put stuff in the giveaway bag that is brought out to the township and us. When we have people come in and put in a water bag, we give them the bag that's has a lot of business memberships, business cards and pens and stuff in there. DDA stuff are going there as well. You know, promotions for your concerts, promotions for your events.
So the point being, though, I agree with what you're saying, something tangible rather than just having a conversation over a desk. I mean, that is next to meaningless.
Right. And I remember back in 2020 when the first shutdown was going on and we had the heater grants through the state of Oakland County. That was something that they promoted that we do with work in conjunction with the chambers and the DDA work together on because they wanted it. I don't think they wanted to have two different things. Animals was what happened. They said just kind of work together, give us one list. I think what was driving that. Not so much that they wanted us to work together day to day, but that was one thing. I know even to streamline it, the county wanted to do.
So Kelly, I guess the point we're, you know, Pete and myself are making too, I agree with it in concept, but something more tangible than just conversations. I think that's where we're going with this, some kind of a quid pro quo involved.
Yep.
Is that
Agreed.
okay to use that language?
Oh, sure. It's perfect.
I think this is a good first step, and I agree with it. I would almost take it kind of what they're saying even further, is they're going to promote us, but you know, here we have the Christmas parade that's in our district. Like, how can we start actually working together?
Yes, and we did talk about that. I said, you know, we both have events that we do where we could be very resourceful to each other. There are things that they could help us with. There's things that we could help them with to make these events bigger and better. And also, honestly, like they could be doing some things that take work off the DDA and vice versa. So I think that absolutely, I think I need to think through some of those tangibles and what you guys, I'll have to come back and tell you what I come up with. I think for me, it was just trying to get through that first step of let's try to heal this relationship and go from there.
So we can go as a nonprofit membership then, as my guess, based on what I'm reading from this form.
Maybe. I think it's dependent. So whenever we apply for stuff, it says nonprofit, and sometimes they will lump governmental entities into it, and sometimes they won't. So I think that's probably going to be a chamber call.
Well, we show a specific dollar amount that we approve.
If
Yeah,
we
up to.
could up to 195, and then what I'll do is we'll check with Joe tomorrow and see what they pay, so that we'll do the same.
Perfect. So I'll
So
make a
let's-
motion to,
Go ahead and make a motion.
a membership up to 195.
Second.
Catherine, roll call, please.
Johnston.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
And Colvin, yes.
Okay, let's take a look here at, finally, Bryce,
Made it through your whole
new
first.
board member recommendation.
Come on up.
Sounds like a TV show. Come
No,
on
I was
down.
gonna say, come on down.
We can't see you, you're too short.
Yeah, my truck wouldn't start, and then I couldn't find what door to go in, so. What do you want to know?
What year did you play for the Wildcats?
I was at Oxford from 2010 to 2014.
So
Basketball and track.
just to start out, I sat down, we had a nice conversation one day, Bryce and I did. I looked at the resume, we had a pleasant conversation. He's somebody who's very interested in contributing to the community as everybody else is, so I'll let you take it from there. So if you want to just talk a little about what you've been doing for a while and what makes you interested in the DDA.
Yeah, You couldn't pay me to live in Oxford after I graduated. I spread my wings and went to Arizona and California. Started a business in e-commerce, selling T-shirts on Facebook, and then that led into a career doing digital marketing, from anywhere from small businesses to I got to work with an NBA team, which was awesome as a basketball fan. And then I worked as an operations manager with a cleaning company in Troy when I moved back and found my wife. And then we were looking for our first home and knew we wanted to do an investment property, and kind of looking at Royal Oak, some different towns, and then this place over on M24, historical home, popped up as an opportunity. And we thought, well, there's no short-term rentals, in downtown Oxford. Maybe we could offer that as something. That's what we've done. The response has been amazing. We're booked out, and
Really?
it's been great. We'll see how winter goes, but so we're just happy to offer that to the community. My motto has kind of always been, well, not always, but recently I've been really blessed in my life. So my motto has become I'm just here to serve. And so I see this as an opportunity for myself to do that.
And we met because he came and volunteered for an event, and I found out he was in the district, and I was like, hold on. But it was perfect. Him and his wife came out. They were great volunteers and loved the Oxford community and wanting to serve. And I'm like, those are 3 things on my list that you need. So I'm pretty excited to have him.
Thanks,
Did you ever
Coach.
find out what year your house was built?
Did I find out?
Yeah, when
No,
I
I was-
met you, said 1830 is what you thought.
Yeah, that's what I was told. I was talking to a guy today, and I don't believe that that's true. I don't know. That would be maybe 1860s.
Yeah, 30 would be a little bit early.
Yeah, but I'm been working with Drew Holt at the museum,
Oh, yeah.
and he's been trying to dig up some info, see what we can find.
So, procedure-wise, any questions from board members for Bryce? We've had his resume, Kelly gave it to us a couple meetings back. So, any comments? Joe, what would be the procedure? Vote to have Mr. Clark
A
recommendation to the village council? So, so I would like to, I'll have a resolution to recommend that Bryce Clark be admitted to the Oxford Downtown Development Authority as a new board member. Effective next meeting. Seconded by Ashley. And let's do a voice vote. All in favor? Say
Aye.
All opposed?
All right.
Thanks.
I gotta get through that village council.
21st, we readjusted our meetings, so.
You know, Pete, I did forget one thing, though. I noticed on Hard Knocks that the new Lions players had to do a skit. Do you think we should do that for Bryce?
Maybe sing.
It was pretty entertaining.
It was
Run.
entertaining.
Run.
Come on, Bryce, there's an opportunity.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
You saw Aiden Hutchinson and Rodriguez, right? All right, thanks, Bryce. Thanks for hanging around for the entire
Yeah,
meeting,
of
too.
course.
So that's actually after our next.
It is. It comes after.
Have any emergency meeting?
We'll be able to do it now for the rest of the year.
Okay, item 10, any items removed? We have
Get it 9I.
9I.
Yeah, this-
Board members, I gave everyone a copy of a letter from Melissa Canellis here. I'm going to read it. I am working with the Real Men of Oxford, work to collect money for the fight on breast cancer, looking to do an event on September 7th in Washington Square. We will have dunk tanks and coincide with Sick Pizza Car Cruise Night. To get approval in connection with the location insurance, we'd like to run this through as a DDA event without needing any work/planning from the DDA itself.
I made sure.
I can't help myself. All right.
I told her to
Feels
put
like
it
it's
in
been
there.
wordsmith.
We have everything in order for these factors already. The only thing we may request of the DDA is a simple share of a Facebook post to help promote it, as it will be in downtown and promoted by downtown businesses. Please consider allowing that so we can get the event approved. It will be a lot of fun and for a great cause. Any further questions, please contact Melissa Canellis. So the idea here would be they could save a few dollars for this noble event. That's the concept for doing this.
As well as, if it's a DDA event, we don't go through a special event application process, and go to council, it's your event.
So it is pretty much with Sick Pizza, Car Cruise Night. It's gonna be the same people who are probably there, just kind of extending that night. So when she asked us, I said, I would think that it would be fine just to put that on there as an extension, since it's a lot of the same people.
Sure.
It's in Washington Square. I think we probably need to come up with a better way of a rental for Washington Square, or what this looks like going forward. But she came in this morning, we met with Joe and myself and Kimberly, and I was like, we don't have a process in place right now, which makes it really hard. So I would like to see this one kind of tied to the DDA, and then really, really quickly by next month's meeting, have some kind of process in place, so that we don't get time and time again somebody saying, well, can this be a DDA event?
So I'd like to introduce a resolution to approve this request from Melissa for the Real Men of Oxford to run this under the DDA banner for this particular event on September 7th.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Catherine. Any further discussion? Let's do a roll call on this, please.
On a roll call, okay. Johnston?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Ross? No. Colvin, yes.
Okay. Items moved from the consent agenda. Not here, so. Pardon? None? Board member comments. Let's start with Ashley.
No comments.
No comments from Ashley. Dorothy?
I do, it's more of a question. Is there any update on Weckel's building?
Oh, yeah, there is. Joe. Mr. Wacko got Joe's ear this week.
Well, he was up talking about some other thing. Well, it had to do with one was one of the ones that what is composting wasn't getting picked up. So I heard him, and I just stopped by and asked where we're at on the demo. I've seen some windows have been removed, and he said that the fire department is maybe perhaps doing some training on, is it 46 East?
Yes, I am waiting for him to give me the go-ahead. Since last, I've talked to him now for 2 weeks now. And he supposedly is waiting on his demolition contractors to say when he's coming to town. So he gives me a date, we'll go in there and train for 1-2 days, whatever, but it's dependent on when we get the okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping that wouldn't take too long, so he could use
I-
it as a reason to
If I
go
get
on.
1 day, I'm good. That's,
Okay.
you know.
Secondarily, the building itself, we did clarify the issue with the original PUD agreement had a stipulation in it that the third floor had to be residential. We found out that had been amended within the first year. That was the first amendment that they did by removing that. So it opens the door for the buyers of the second and third floor to work to both commercially as they intended and wished for. The only thing kind of holding up, he was telling me the other day now, is the original plan for where the windows are and a window wall perhaps up on the third floor because it was residential. He's trying to get them, now that they know they can go to the third floor with their extension of their business use, do they want a door wall on there? Or do they want a sink, a window where there would have been a kitchen sink? So he's maybe having to reframing a couple of those spots as soon as they let him know, because he doesn't want to just build it out the way he had built for residential and not be what they really want. They had hired an architect, I guess, within a month they fired the architect, and now they have somebody else on board. But that is the people that are doing the purchase of the building.
That's what I was gonna, yeah.
It's actual been turned into a condo site where it's unit 1, unit 2, and unit 3. So I believe the first floor, let me back up. I think the architect snafu was on the first floor, the commercial. The other ones are now, I think, pretty well to move forward on the second and third, just nail down which they want. I've asked him, I would like to see the windows installed, especially on the second floor, because they won't be pouring any cement into the second floor. Part of the reason he wants to leave at least a couple of the windows open is for the cement trucks to pour through, and then the cement will dry out a lot better if it's not in an enclosed building. But I've said I would like to see windows in all the windows that can be glassed in. And I know he said he was just ordering the windows. Sounded like it was last week. I don't know why it was just last week, but
Weren't they supposed to be, he ordered them last year?
the frames have been in
Okay.
for months and months. The glass itself is what we're waiting on now.
Okay, thank you.
And part of his concern, leaving a few of them open on the front or on the first floor, is for the truck to pour through the cement to the cement floor. Can't pour the cement floor till he knows where all the drains are. I think it's the people have to do their build-out plans before he knows where the drains are. So it's a lot of dominoes there. But you know, every time he comes in, I like to ask him where we're at on this. And then the I was hoping there wasn't gonna be a long time frame for training, that would not add any more time burden to it, 'cause we really need the house down, get that part going. It's one thing, the building's framed in enough, you could go in there and work in the winter, right? But the building needs to be down, and that parking lot is our goal, is to get that base down.
Okay.
And the house is the last step to that, I believe.
Marie?
Good luck on the Main Street grant. That would be a huge one. I attended virtually last year the conference, the Main Street conference, and that would be an impressive win if we could pull it
You guys
off.
should
But
already just mark your calendars for Boston.
yeah,
March 27th, just saying, we're all.
March 17th.
But I know, it's March 27th though. It's also my birthday week, so just so you know.
All
and
right.
Ashley's.
oh, it's
And
gotta
Rod's.
happen then.
March 11th.
And Rod's, yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Catherine?
No comments.
Peter?
I think it was good work tonight as far as being able to award that many facade grants and sign grants and everything. Again, it's moving stuff forward, and everything. Looking forward to having you in town. So, good luck to everybody and good job.
And my comments would be thank you for the continuing work on the agendas for our committee meetings and how we trying to get that structured a little bit differently than it has been in the past. A couple things Ashley just mentioned me too, an idea. And another thing, Kelly, keep in mind we want to do something for volunteers at some point in time too. That's been kind of pushed aside a little bit, some kind of a thank you for volunteers. And then another comment about historic nature, like what you guys said about history, et cetera. That's something I'm interested in. I know Ashley is, I think our board is too. And to that point, I don't know if it's related. It's not related to the D-Day directly, but I know at the township level, we have a meeting coming up for the planning commission on a structure north of town, the old McDonald's location. Hopefully we get something done there in a positive fashion, or at least I would call it positive. And that's about it. So, meeting adjourned. And let's take a vote to do this. I'm sorry, I can't do it arbitrarily, can
We
I?
can do a voice vote, can't we?
Let's do a voice vote to,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved, yes.
Aye.
Aye.